Because it's good fun, isn't it? When you're playing it with other people and stuff, it's a real laugh. And then you've got the skill involved as well, you know, just to get around the course, or in my case, actually to drive the correct way around it. I'm literally the James May of that group. I swear to God, I could get lost on an oval track. Crossway between PC and console would not be good for breakfast. Why? What makes you say that? I couldn't play with someone. We were both on PC, but I had it on Steam, and he had it on Game Pass. Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. From what I understand, well, not from what I understand. If he was to play it on Game Pass, you'd have to play it on Game Pass as well. But you could both play it through Game Pass on the PC, which is weird to me. But yeah, that's the issue that I was getting. And now Pitbull actually got me Wreckfest, and that's another one I want to do a season on, and a playthrough of. Because apparently there are people that would like to see me progress through the career. I have a feeling it's to see how many times I have to reset a race to come in to finish the career mode, which could potentially take quite a long time. Not gonna lie. Yeah, Game Pass is locked console version. Pretty sure it's Xbox ship policy. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. Which is a shame, really, because the games are going to just suffer. Because you could open yourself up to twice the amount of player base. And in my opinion, would make the game more successful and more played. But what do I know? I'm just an old painting streamer. There are mods that allow you to see the cost of the cost in the store, to set the cost in the store to 0, so you could buy everything. So you could activate that mod, buy everything, and deactivate the mod, and keep all the stuff and play against console. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, but then if you was to look at it that way, right, you'd never play any MMOs or anything, because everything pretty much these days is going pay to win. You know, it's like, oh yeah, you can grind for 1,000 hours to get this thing, or you can whip out your credit card and buy it straight away, sir. And that's another thing I disagree with, right? Well, see, that's a double-edged sword for me, because I kind of do agree with it and I don't agree with it, right? If you're grinding like hundreds of hours and you have to work really hard to get, let's just say, a particular piece of armor in a game, whatever be the game may be, you know, but this particular piece of armor, right? And then if there's no pay to win, right, you get the prestige of knowing that people in the know that know about that game and know about that particular piece of armor, you have literally spent and gone through X, Y, and Z to get that piece of armor. And then people can kind of look and go, wow, you know, that guy must be really good because he did this, this, and this, right? But then now with pay to win, all of that's gone pretty much. It's like, oh well, did he buy it, or did he just whap out his credit card and pay for it? Now the other side of the coin is that what about the poor people? And I call them poor, I'm not meaning like financially poor, but what about the poor people that don't actually have the time to sit there and go through the game and then earn that piece of equipment? See, my solution to that problem is thus, right? Whether you agree with this or not, this is my solution to it, right? That is, have have an armor set, right, that you can buy in game, like, for the people that don't have time to be able to grind out to get that piece, right? And then have it looking a certain type of way, right? So it's obviously apparent that that person paid for that piece of armor, right? And then have the same piece of armor, right, that looks a different type of way, right, that can't be modded to look like either. So it specifically looks another specific type of way, and that's the person that's actually sat there and grinded for it. Then that way, then I believe that people's attitudes between people wearing each individual bit of armor would be separated. Because, yeah, you paid for it, but, whatever the reason is, but the people that have gone out there and done it, somebody might be like, oh, wow, you managed to do all that, well done, that kind of thing. And oh, you bought that piece of armor, okay, cool, no worries. You obviously either didn't have the time or you couldn't be bothered. That's fine. But to have no distinguishability between it, I think is wrong. But that, again, is just my opinion. What's this? But devs don't want you. But devs don't want you to know that they bought it. Well, yeah. See, and that's true. But that's the thing, though. So then we're in a situation now where everybody thinks that everybody's bought something, and that thus diminishing the overall value of that particular item. And I could be wrong because I don't buy stuff in game and whatever else. If it ain't free and I can't grind for it, I'm not really that interested in it, to tell you the truth. But I remember the days people in World of Warcraft, because my boys were all playing it and my wife was playing it. I never did back in the day, but where they do be like, oh, look how many messages I'm getting, and people were all like, oh, wicked, how did you get that? Wow, you did that and you spent that long, awesome. Join my guild or my party or whatever, I need help and whatever. And it was kind of a bit of a prestigious thing to have. And now it's like, oh, well, you whacked your credit card out for it, big deal. And then you get the other people, it's like, I've spent all of this time doing it the way that the game was intended, and I got this and I earned it, and people are like, what'd you do that for? Why waste your time doing that when you can just buy it? What, you stupid? I don't know. Like I said, today I'm in one of those moods, like philosophical, probably even just I'm not miserable, but I look at certain things and it irritates me, and I get it, everybody wants to make money. Right? Everybody's in it for money. We all need money. We all need to be able to eat and survive and what have you. But I don't know. For me, it just seems. I don't know. There's no value left in anything anymore, I think is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. There's no value in it. I enjoy. Oh, smart grinding. I probably spend more time calculating how to be efficient than grinding itself. Yeah, no, I can see that. I get that completely. I think I should rename this stream to Controversial Corner. Hang on a sec. Just Right. It's nice talking about touchy subjects sometimes, you know, because people have definite feelings about this. It's kind of funny because I think we can all agree that gaming is definitely taking over TV as a means of entertainment, right? And and in my opinion, quite rightly so. Because let's face it, television has gone right downhill. Um, you're forced to pay for it. Well, especially in the UK, you're forced to pay your license to basically have adverts rammed down your throat all the time, and it's annoying. Which is why I stopped watching TV ages ago. Right, I'm going to do this little bit around the outside here, and then I'm going to use a bigger brush because that is definitely far too big of an area to muck about with. But I just don't like all of that. What was that game? That it's one of the Diablos. Is it Diablo? I can't even. I don't even know what it's called now. But it's one of the games like Diablo. It's still odd to me that the UK doesn't does that with the TV license. Well, I heard a little while ago, I think a month or so ago, that they're going to be abolishing the TV license apparently for that particular reason because people are just fed up with paying for it. Right. Okay, we can go to a bigger brush now. What colour was that? 7. Yeah, well, trust me, I don't like doing it. I said to the only reason that I pay a TV license at the moment is because my missus seems to refuse to want to give up Sky TV. And I've repeatedly said to her that you're not going to miss anything. I said, you know, there's plenty of catch up services. You're just losing the ability of watching it live, I suppose, is the difference there. There's loads of brown in this bug. I obviously didn't mix it very well. This is going to need another coat as well, I would imagine. Another reason why I don't really like breaking out the big brush, because you either put it on too thick or too thin. There's no real in between. And I suppose that's the paint as well, but that's all right. I'll go back over it and make it look right. I stream everything for free. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I mean. You know, I keep saying to her like we should do that, but she's my wife. Bless her. She's very kind of stuck in a way. She doesn't like change, like I don't like change, but she's vastly more stubborn than I am. And then all of a sudden, when she does eventually make the change, she'd be like, "Oh, this is brilliant." It's like, yeah, I've been telling you this for ages. You don't listen. And then she reminds me of all the thousands and millions of times that I never listen, and then it becomes a conversation where I was right, but all of a sudden now I'm at fault. So I generally tend not to step near those conversations, quite frankly. I've learnt in my old age when to pick my battles. But yeah, for me, I could remove the TV today. Well, not the TV, but the television license, and then just stop watching live stuff. Like I pointed out to the other day, I said a lot of what you watch is always on demand anyway. What do you need to watch it on there for? Oh yeah, well if I'm watching this and I'm watching that, I'll find out about it. Well, don't go on the internet until you watched it then. You could probably tell we've had this conversation a couple of times, me and my wife. And as a result, you can probably also tell that she's winning because we've still got it. Nah, don't have a long conversation. Don't have long conversations with you. You always end up being in the wrong. Yes, you do. You absolutely do. Even if you're right, and I don't understand how they manage to do that. It's like this major superpower that they have that we don't even see it coming. And that's usually when they use the other superpower, which is their memory, right? Which I find really funny because, for the most part, in my experience, right? So please do not think I'm casting all women with this brush, right? But they'll be like, "Oh, did you do that?" And they go, "Oh, I didn't remember." But yet, when they do something wrong, they always remember everything that you've done wrong for like months, weeks, even years. And they pull it out of the bag as soon as they're defending their position when they've done something. When we finally feel like, yes, got her. I'm finally going to win this argument. There's nothing she can say. She'll be like, well, do you remember 10 years ago when you did this and you did that? And then you stood there and you're like, well, yeah. And we argued over that and we got over it. So like, I paid my penance for it. And so you're trying to win yours. You did that. So I don't have to. And then you're sort of left standing there as then trying to compromise. And yeah, it just never works out. I call that female privilege. You wanted a controversial topic. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, we're definitely in the realms of controversy now, then. I'm just loving the way that no one's like, no one's followed your comment there, Pitbull. No one's actually saying anything. Everyone's gone quiet. It's like, okay, that's literally the battle line that's just been drawn. Who's brave enough to step over the line? I think I'm going to have to swap back to the small version. Yes, and I think at some point I need to take this paint and actually mix it properly. Yeah, female privilege is real. Someone clip that and send it to his wife. Oh, my life. You know what the difference between a woman yelling... Oh, hang on. Let's see. My eyes are terrible today. You know the difference between a woman yelling on the front porch and a dog barking at the back porch? If you let the dog... Oh, Mr. Pitbull being very brave right there. If you're enjoying it sat in that car, you go for it. I'm going to smarten up this bit of green up here a bit because there's a lot of brown in that, which I didn't want. Which I need to sort out. And whilst I'm doing it, hopefully, yeah, that's better. Much better. Cover over a lot of that. I kind of like the fact that the colour's a bit contrasty. Because it's kind of a big bit, and because I've had to do this now, it's not going to look so big block of just one colour now. Kind of like that. It gives it a bit of depth, which is one of the pluses to actually making your own painting and then painting it yourself, because you can do stuff like that if you're artistic enough. Me, I'm just repairing a mistake that's been done, which I think will invariably end up adding to the picture somewhat. Well, let me put it to you this way. It's definitely going to make the picture unique. This is my rifle. There are many rifles like it, but this one is mine. This is my painting. There are many paintings like it because it's paint by numbers, but this one is mine. Oh, I might have to watch Full Metal Jacket. I ain't watched that in a bit. Another bit of brown in it. I really have to mix this paint up. And another bit. Jeez. Come on. I will look at chat in a sec. Oh, what's this? True story. My dad was a barber and was standing outside the shop smoking a cigarette, waiting for his next customer. The guy drives up in a new car, and my dad says, "It sure is nice to see your wife let you drive a new car like that." The guy says, "What are you talking about? That's my car." Dad grins and says, "Go to court and try and get it." Yeah, it's. But the thing is that females' fault, or is it the government making it so that they can get the vehicle? See, I mean, I'm not going to get too controversial, but I feel like there's a lot of situations in life that literally swing in a certain direction on purpose to keep us fighting amongst ourselves whilst taking our eye off the ball of what's really happening. I equate it to like magicians, sleight of hand. You know, always keep them concentrated on something else, and it makes it far easier for you to do whatever you want without anyone noticing. But people just seem to just go to the source. I actually feel like that with racism as well. You know, like I said, I'm not going to get too controversial because you know, light-hearted stream and all. But yeah, sometimes you've gotta try and stand back and, in my opinion, look at the bigger picture. You know, and ask why they're able to do that. Case in point, perfect thing, right? People have huge issues, or some people, sorry, have huge issues with female streamers, right? Because you know, and we've all heard it. I think even I've said it at some point, but I've not said it in the derogatory sense. You know, a good looking girl or even a bad looking girl, you know, they're wearing certain type of clothes that, you know, accentuate what they look like, and their, you know, bodily traits. I'm trying to find polite ways of saying it because, and please, I'm hoping that everybody allows me to get to my point on this so you'll understand that I'm not damning them for this, right? Um, but they say like, oh, you know, you'll get thousands of views from people, but a poor gamer or whatever else who's probably really good at streaming and won't get a look in because they're all going over there and watching that, and they're all throwing hate at the females. Now, my argument is this, right? They're only getting those views because people are out there viewing them. So, is it their fault or is it the viewer's fault? Now, granted, you can come up with the argument of, oh, they know what they're doing. And yes, I wholeheartedly agree. There probably are those out there, female streamers and male streamers as well, who do know what they're doing. But what is this? Is it jealousy because you can't? Or is it because they actually found something and they've worked the system of it? And then you got to look to yourself, you got to think to yourself, who allowed them to be able to do it? I mean, that is the problem. You do need to breakdance around something. Uh, you need to breakdance around something so that you don't offend someone, and you offend them anyway. I just don't breakdance anymore. Yeah, exactly. Like you know, don't get me wrong. Right? I don't want to offend anybody. And it's not just because I'm like this uberly nice guy that you know, or that I can't offend somebody, or I don't have the balls to just go and offend someone. I just don't see the point in offending anybody. You know, if they're doing something and providing it doesn't affect me or whatever else, you know, I live and let live. You know, and like TV and stuff, like they're cancelling. I watched a comic this morning. What was it? I think it was on TikTok or something. I don't remember. Um, and he was saying, "Oh, I'm going to leave you with this." And he said, like the song that got banned, the old one, you know, the Christmas one. Um, Baby, It's Cold Outside. That was it. Baby, It's Cold Outside. And it was banned because it was too. What's it? I can't say it. I don't think so. I won't. And then the guy literally stands there and then he reads the lyrics out of this other song. And it's like, that's perfectly okay to say. And if you was to have heard the song that he was doing, and I don't know the name, that's it. That's the one. That's the what. That's the song. That's it right there. That's the one he was reading, and that one's perfectly okay. And it's like, what is going on with the world? What's this? I have another story about my dad dealing with offended people. Yeah, go for it, buddy. Great son. Yeah, you would say that because you've probably never seen one. But anyway, we're gonna move on to the step. Oh, Max, you're such a diamond, you are. You know Jimmy Carr. Yeah, of course I do. Of course I do. What colour is 19? No, it's a light that friend. So we'll do that one here next. This was back many years ago when I was a kid. We were at the grocery store and there was this. This was back before they banned smoking indoors and inside stores. Right, okay. Down here. I'm really glad I've got as much done as what I've got done here today. I'm really impressed with it. I also like sitting here now and working out what and where I'm going to do before I go and do it. And it's nice to be able to, like, you know, end up on the point that I wanted to be at. As we were doing our shopping, Dad casually puffing away, and we were minding our own business, right? Okay. And then we get to the checkout line, and this rather large lady standing behind him says quite loudly, "Cigarette smoke offends me." Right? Okay. I'm gonna have to remember what this playlist is that's going now. I'm kind of enjoying this while I've been doing this. Like, got like a nice chill vibe to it. I like it. Might actually get some jazz music or something, or a bit of classical. I don't know. I don't mind a bit of classical music every now and again, but I don't know if classical music is DMCA or not. Dad just turns around to look at her, takes a drag on his cigarette and blows it right at her, and replies, "Well, a great big ugly woman offend me, but you don't hear me saying anything to you." I mean, I get his point. That's a point strongly made. I don't know. I don't know whether or not I agree with that, but I get what you mean. It's like people have no problem. See, that's another thing. Like with me, for argument's sake, like I can give criticism, right, but I can also take it. Like, and I've always turned around and said, like I keep saying on here, you probably heard me say this a million times. I'm not ignorant enough to think that I know everything, and I'm prepared to admit when I'm wrong, accept it, and learn from it. I'm humble enough to do that. Um, but there are people out there now, and I truly believe this is the reason, right? I believe that people's lives are so good that they have nothing to worry about. And because they have nothing to worry about, they don't have to strive to do anything. Therefore, they can't have any pride in what it is that they do. Because for whatever reason, their avenues have been blocked to get that kind of attention, right? So the easiest way of doing it is to pick up a cause. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not tarring everybody in this brush. I don't think everybody's in this, but some people have an effect, a cause and effect in their life that actually makes them take up a cause. And if you're in that particular demographic, then this doesn't apply to you. But there are those of people out there who are so, their lives are so unimportant to make themselves feel important. They'll pick up a cause that everyone's doing, and then they'll run with it, and they'll like, oh, that really offends me. When actually, it really shouldn't. And I'm not specifying which one should and shouldn't, because offence is a personal thing. It's not a universal thing. Not everyone's going to get offended over it. But that's where I believe that the freedom of choice thing comes in. People now just want to erase stuff. Let's stop that from being aired. Let's not have that. No. Let it be aired. Let it be aired. Because on your TV you have a remote control. On YouTube you have an off button. You can turn stuff over. You don't have to watch it. You don't have to watch it until you reach a point where somebody's physically making you watch it, where you have no choice. You can't even close your eyes to it. Then you can turn around and use the offended card. In my opinion, you have a choice not to watch. Stop cancelling stuff, because what offends you probably doesn't offend me, or what offends me probably doesn't offend you. And if we continue on down this path, there will be nothing. There will be nothing. And that's where I believe we're headed. People confuse what offends them with what they're told should offend them. Yes, they are. You're absolutely right, Max. Genuinely, they are. And I think that's the problem. Nobody has any kind of self-identity anymore. And I've said it for ages that people are easily manipulated by, social media and stuff. They just pick up a mantle and they run with it. And they think, oh yeah, this is the right thing. This is the right thing. And nobody realizes that, you can wake up one day and feel something, and then wake up another day and just think, you know what, think of arguing. How many times have you sat there and somebody's called you something and you've been like, probably even got up to fight and whatever else? It's really got on your nerves. And there's been another day where somebody said something, you're like, all right, twat, whatever. And you just walked it off. And this is the problem. Everybody seems to be in that state of like they're more important than you are. I mean, the person that was actually doing something that's offended somebody might meant that much to them. Yeah, I'm not saying what they were doing was right or wrong. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with anybody. My point is this, is that, we all have a choice. The whole thing with the smoking thing, that for me is a sticky one, because the smoke and stuff, I can understand why people are banned it in certain places, because, when you walk into a pub, don't forget I'm an ex-smoker as well, and I'm not all of a sudden there on the other side. I can see it from both sides of the fence. You walk into a pub, and I miss that smell, like with pubs smelling like with stale beer and fags, cigarettes and whatever. It's a nostalgic smell to me, because like all pubs smell like it, but now they all just smell of beer. right? Which is still fine, you know. But when you didn't smoke and you go into a pub and everyone's in there smoking, you're literally breathing this in. You can't get away from it. So I get it. That I get, you know. But things that people say and whatever else, I just like, dude, seriously, just don't go anywhere near it if you don't want to. And if it's like, well, but I want to be in here and I'm hearing it and whatever else, well, then you chose to be there. You know, at that point, then it becomes on the organisers to turn around and say, okay, you know what, we would like we would like everybody to enjoy this. Therefore, we're not going to step near this particular conversation, or we're not going to do this particular thing because it could offend people. And then if it does affect, you know, and then work out whether or not they actually want to lose some of their audience. But the problem is that people just won't walk out. They just want it changed to make themselves feel important. They won't just make that choice to just ignore it. And I'm not generalizing this whole conversation based on one particular thing, right? So, you know, this is a generalization. Of course, there are things out there which are worth fighting for and are definitely worth changing. But my point is that it shouldn't be applied to everything. So yeah. Oh. My DS was able to scream into your face for 6 hours without needing to take a breath. Wow, drill sergeant. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I'm not talking about just desensitization. You know, I don't know, mate. What do I know? I'm just an old man that just rambles on to people that will listen. You know, I'm no one in the grand scheme of things. I just think I think I've said this quite a lot in my life, right? And as I've got older, I've actually got worse with saying it, I suppose. People just lack the common sense they were born with, and that, in my opinion, has been a very dangerous thing. And common sense is usually derived from education and learning, right? You know, because that's, in my opinion, how you learn common sense, through trial and error. And these days, not a lot of things are taught. They're kind of shown, like, this is what you do, this is what you do. Yeah, hence back to my point about the building the guide thing. You know, no one goes out there to do it themselves anymore. You know, they don't learn to be really good at it, and because they haven't gone through the defeat and the anguish of failing all them times. You know, we've just stood on the shoulders of other people that have done it for you. And I think this is what's led to this quick gratification. Everyone wants to like, everyone wants to follow, and you know, they get completely distraught if somebody unfollows them, or you know, if they don't get as many likes as what they expected or think that they should get. Their expectations are just, in my opinion, just far too high. And this is why whenever anybody turns around and says to me, and you most of you have been in here in my streams and whatever, when they've apologized and they've said, oh, Mark, I'm really sorry, I've got to go. Now, don't get me wrong, I appreciate it because you care about my feelings that much, and you care about the streaming and everything else, for you to feel that way if you're not going to be around, right? And I do. I'm not diminishing that at all. It makes me feel so good, the fact that I feel like I'm doing a good enough job to keep people that interested in being around my stream. But then it also, the other side of the coin is like, but you know, it's fine. Like, for me personally, it's fine. If you're not in here, you're not in here. You know, life happens, things happen. Um, I'm prepared for that. Don't ever feel bad for not being in it. And then people are like, and I just wonder what it's like for other people, streamers and whatever else. Do they actually moan at people, you know, because they're not in and they're not following them and whatever else? Is there a stigma attached to doing that? I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a big streamer by any stretch of the imagination. I do what I do for fun and for company. And yeah, it's just strange to me, the fact that anybody now actually takes the time to come out and watch me at all. To me, blows me away. It does. It absolutely does. and I've said it. I said it. I say it every night, and I say it almost every day. You guys all blow me away. You genuinely do. You know, the fact that you come in and watch me at all, I feel so. I don't want to use the word blessed because unfortunately I'm not a religious man. I never have been. I have my own opinions on religion, whether they're right or not that's up to me to decide. You know, I'm just trying to zoom in a little bit more so you can see the picture in, and I realise I've moved a bit. Can I do that? Small. There we go. Tilt up. Perfect. All in frame. Yeah. I've had him muted this whole time. What's he rambling about? You know, but I don't know. Like I said, maybe it's just me. But I will say this much: that's as much as I'm going to do today, and I am very happy with what I've got done there. I think that looks really good, and I can now officially say that I am definitely over halfway through this picture.